2024 NFL Draft Q&A. Where do the quarterbacks go? We are a little over a week until the NFL Draft. And guys, there has been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of teams signaling things. There's been a lot of moves really implying for, every quarterback outside of Caleb Williams, because I think we all know where he's going to go. But guys, we look at some of the moves. The Patriots just had Michael Penix in for a top 30 visit. The odds in Vegas have increased for Jayden Daniels to go number 2 overall. There's a lot going on. There is a lot going on in terms of the quarterback situation. The only one that, of course, we have confidence in is Caleb going to the Bears. But I also, weirdly enough, I think Bo Nix will be a Bronco. This is on Monday, the second Monday, technically, before the draft. We're 10 days out from the draft, but I do think Bo Nix will be a Bronco. But guys, as you know, ask any questions. You guys know Super Chats, of course, they go first, but we will get to all the questions, guys. You guys know how it is. Chat's starting to fill up. How we doing? Tristan, Ethan, Sneaker Dude, Dubo, Devin Witherspoon, Jay, how we doing? You guys know the drill, though. It's Super Chats, of course, go first, but any and all questions, guys, we're going to be here for quite a while, so I am eager to answer any and all questions. Thoughts on what the Ravens do? I actually got this question today. Somebody actually tweeted it at me, and my whole thought process, it's going to be, of course, how the board falls. I'm just tweeting the link out, by the way. But I could see them going tackle. I could see them going receiver. I could see them going corner. Personally, I think their priority should go tackle, corner, then receiver. The Ravens kind of scare me just in a sense of what the outlook for them is, just because whenever you have as good of a team as they had last year, 31 other teams are going to start to pick off your roster, whether it's coaches, whether it's players. We've seen, Mike McDonald go to the Seahawks. We saw Patrick Queen go to the Steelers. That was just amongst, a couple of moves. So the Ravens scare me next year, to be honest. Their best shot, I thought, was, of course, this year, and I think they're going to go tackle in the first round. Hopefully, Tyler Guyton falls to them. I think that would be best case scenario, but knowing the Ravens and how they operate, it really wouldn't surprise me at all if they get somebody like J.C. Latham or Amarius would be a big fall, but, the Ravens typically just have things happen to them in the draft that it just doesn't for other teams. So, like I said, guys, any and all questions right now, I am just tweeting the link. So go ahead, let's drop a like, let's drop comments, and let's keep it going here, guys. Let's keep it going here. All right, let's exit out. There we go. 2024 NFL Draft Q&A, baby. All right. Vikings going to trade up to 3 or 4. I think 3. I think if they are going to trade up at all, it would be 3. I don't think the Cardinals are going to trade out of 4. I would be extremely surprised if the Cardinals trade out of 4. And I know a lot of people want to just associate Monty Ozenfort. Obviously because he did it last year with the trade up or trade out, then trade back up. But I don't think you want to risk not getting Marvin Harrison Jr. So for that reason, I think the Cardinals are going to stick and pick. Tristan, my guy, do the Vikings somehow find a way to get Drake May? Honestly, I think they do. I really, really think they do. Guys, here's the deal, right? Like, the Patriots have no reason. If they're taking Drake May, they have no reason to, and this is, I'm gonna pull up the exact report here today with Patriots and Michael Penix. So if the Patriots are set on Drake May, they have no reason to bring him in for a top 30 visit. Here's a tweet from Ian Rappaport. Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr. is set to have dinner with Patriots brass and coaches tonight in Foxborough and has a top 30 visit tomorrow, sources say. New England continues to do all the quarterback homework. But my whole thing with that is, why would New England, why would they do that if they're not entertaining trading back? They know for a fact that Jayden Daniels or Drake May is going to be there. And if their quarterback, if they were dead set on either Jayden or Drake, just host those guys and you can host any other top 30 visits anywhere. So I think New England's trading back. Let's see here. It's my birthday today. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Thanks for coming through. And hopefully you had a good one. All right, let's see here. Let's see what other questions we have here. That's happy birthday, Bluefish. So everyone, make sure, let them know happy birthday. All right, let's see here. What's your opinion of the Patriots trading out of 3 with the Vikings and not drafting a quarterback and helping the roster? So in a couple of mock drafts, that's exactly what I've had them do. And the reality is, guys, is the Patriots roster is not good. I mean, well, offensively, of course, because defense, the roster is pretty solid. But, I mean, guys, their offensive roster right now is not good. Juju Smith-Schuster is one of their receivers. I mean, I don't know if you guys are on Twitter, but he was, kind of going viral the other day for not a good reason. But they have Pop Douglas. I'm blanking here. Pop Douglas, Juju, Kendrick Bourne, KJ Osborne. I mean, those are the guys that we're talking about throwing the football to. So if you can get 3 first-round picks from the Vikings, that's what I would recommend, man. I mean, having a rookie quarterback, whether it's Drake May, whether it's Andrew Luck, whether it's whoever coming in, you're setting them up for failure in that offense. All right, let's see. Another super chat from Tristan. Appreciate it. He says, Pats can go MHJ at 3 and Penix in round 2. Appreciate the super chat. Of course, all super chats go first. It's just the nature of the beast. But, no, it's I like that for them. The thing is you can convince me the Patriots to do anything really except, I don't want to say stick and pick, because you could even convince me that sticking and picking is good for them, because they could trade back into the end of round 1 and basically just give up a 2 next year or a 3 next year or a combination of picks to go up and get an Adonai Mitchell. But no, I mean, I think New England should just go 3-1s and go from there. All right, Justin Ziegler, appreciate it. He says, this is a good question here, by the way. Between the Lamb, Aiyuk, and Jefferson not attending volunteer workouts, is it something these teams should be concerned about? Cowboys in particular stand out to me considering they have Dak and Parsons too. So to answer this question, Justin, I actually have a video coming out on the Cowboys tomorrow. Appreciate the super chat, by the way. And I actually, I have the audio release the audio version of it already released on Apple and Spotify, Football Analysis Podcast. But the thing is, the Cowboys situation scares me. The Cowboys situation scares me a lot. I don't have any confidence in the Cowboys moving forward. I think their situation is pretty scary. We're talking about a team that the furthest they've got, I mean, obviously the whole NFC Championship game since 1996, but Dak's 2-5 in the playoffs with his lone playoff wins in a game over the Bucks, who were 8-9, and a game back against Seattle back in 2018. And the other losses, I mean, if we talk in the past 3 years, we're talking 2 losses to San Francisco and 1 to Green Bay this year, where, I mean, they were embarrassed. I mean, Dallas was embarrassed by Green Bay in the wild card round this year. It was a 48-32 final, but that game was, despite, I mean, 16 points is not a close game by any means, but that looked a lot closer than how the game was actually played. I mean, within that game, Dak throws a pick to Jair. It sets Green Bay up in the red zone. Dak throws a pick 6 to Darnell Savage on a pass that should have really never been thrown. I mean, they were just cruising down the field, and Dak kind of just, telegraphed his throw, hey, look, we're just going to throw this slant. And Darnell kind of just stepped right in front of it. All right, let me take it to the house. To answer all these questions, though, about the Cowboys, yeah, there is a lot to be concerned about, because what's the plan? If you're going to part with Dak next year, is Trey Lance the plan? Is that what you're going to do moving forward? Or are you going to put everything in Trey Lance and say, all right, buddy, he would be in year 5 at that point, because Dak's obviously going to start over Trey Lance this year. So I think there's a lot to be concerned about. All right, let's see here. Let's see. I think I answered that one pretty good. Yeah, no, there's a lot to be concerned about in Dallas, and we actually answered that in tomorrow's video. Looks like Vikings won't draft a quarterback until round 4. I'm just not going to address that. We'll just keep going here. Let's see here. The Patriots need a quarterback, and May fits the AVP offense better than anybody else in this class. I mean, the thing is you can convince me, like I said, you can convince me with whatever the Patriots are doing. But right now, I think they're going to trade back. But if you are a Patriots fan and you want, something positive to talk about or think about, then I could very easily be convinced, hey, Drake May, go for that. All right, I think another super chat from Tristan. Appreciate it. He says, the only team that worries me is the Giants. What if they trade up with the Patriots? Is that possible or smoke screen? So let's go ahead and kind of break all this down here. It's definitely possible. The reality with the Giants trading up is they're going to have to move up. They're going to have to use capital for next year. And I think in this class, with how loaded this class is, that the Patriots would rather have 11, 23, and a 1 next year rather than move back 3 spots and get a 1 next year. Because, I mean, like I said, 3 first-round picks is better than 2. And, if you're hoping that with the Patriots, if you're taking the Vikings first next year, you're hoping that the Lions, the Bears, especially with all the improvements they made this offseason, and of course the Packers, who just took the 49ers down to the wire in the NFC divisional round, you're hoping the Packers and Lions sweep them, so that'd be 4 wins right there, or 4 losses for the Vikings to improve that draft pick next year. And then you're also hoping that, the Bears can split or even sweep the Vikings. But the point is, all of this to say is I think the Patriots would rather have 3 wins rather than 2 to improve the roster as much as they can. So, Giants trading up, I think, is a smokescreen. I also don't think the Giants, in the timeline they're in, from a GM and head coach standpoint, would want to give up a 1 next year. Because they're in a very just finicky situation. Year 1, they win a playoff game, and then they shit the bed this year. Sorry for the language, but they didn't do anything this year. I mean, they had everything that could have went wrong. I think for the Giants' case, it's better that they just stick and pick and get a guaranteed either Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors, and really just get the chat, or get the get as much as they can. All right, Justin Ziegler, thoughts on the Devontae Smith extension? I loved it. I absolutely loved it for the Eagles. And the reason that I loved it for the Eagles is because they're doing what I want the Vikings to do, which is to extend your players before everyone else gets extended. Now, if you are this guy back here, I'm pointing to a Justin Jefferson autographed jersey for any audio only listeners, because this will be on the podcast. I'll release this as a Q&A tomorrow, but if you're Justin Jefferson, you have no reason to sign an extension right now. You have absolutely zero reason. So for the Eagles to be able to get Devontae Smith at a discount before Amon-Ra St. Brown, before JJ, before T. Higgins, before Jamar, before that whole just 2020 and 2021 group of receivers, CeeDee Lamb, if I didn't mention him, that whole group of receivers sign an extension, it's at a discount. And especially with the cap only expected to go up, especially with all the gambling deals, with all the revenue, with all the just everything. It is only a discount. Smitty is a hell of a receiver, and no, I mean it's an A+ extension for both sides. I mean, Devontae sets his family up for financial success for life. He gets $25 million a year. I mean, I'm gonna say it was $90 million overall because it was also like including like a 5th year option in there. So yeah, it's all around a great deal. Snappy Turtle says, he says a bunch of other comments. He says, Caleb Williams, 5,000 yards, 55 touchdowns. I don't think so. That's not for me. Let's see here. How surprised would I be if a Super Bowl 59 is a Super Bowl 57 rematch? Hold on here. 57 would be Eagles Chiefs, so rematch. I think I wouldn't be all that surprised, to be honest. Obviously, the Chiefs are the Chiefs, and the only year they didn't get to the Super Bowl in the past 5 was the year the Bengals beat them, and even that required, I mean, that was a lot just for the Bengals to beat them, so I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, if you're telling me right now the Chiefs, with all of the young talent they have on rookie contracts, like Trent McDuffie, like George Karlaftis, like Leo Chanel, like Isaiah Pacheco, potentially another receiver at 32 this year, a first-round receiver, it wouldn't surprise me at all. And the Eagles, I think, I made a video a couple months ago. It said the Philadelphia Eagles they're basically, they're back. I forget what I titled it, but they're back, and that their future is insanely bright. And people were like, oh, stop drinking the Kool-Aid, stop doing that. And that was before they signed Saquon Barkley and before they signed Bryce Huff. So let's see here. All right, Tristan, appreciate the super chat, and he says, I wonder if the Vikings waiting for the Falcons tampering situation to be final. So I don't think anything's going to come out of that. I really don't, because the whole thing for that, like the whole thing regarding the Kirk Cousins and the tampering, personally, I have no say in this, obviously, but my whole thing is I wouldn't really care at all, even if they tampered, because the reality is, it doesn't really matter because the Vikings were never going to match. So even if the Falcons contacted Kirk, even if they were contacting his agent when Kirk was getting, driven off the cart on Lambeau Field with the torn Achilles, like, hey, here's a deal, 4-year, $180 million, even if they were, which obviously they weren't in that specific moment, it doesn't really matter because the Vikings, with Kevin O'Connell and with Kwesi wanting to draft their guy, they were never going to say, hey, Kirk, like, look, man, we want to match, but, no. So I don't think there's going to be anything to come out of that. Obviously, that would be very beneficial, but that's, I I don't think that's going to happen. All right, I've seen a couple Spencer Rattler comments. Who's going to draft Spencer Rattler? Where would you like to see him land? To be honest, this is not who they're going to draft in the first round, but Willie, I'm going to actually answer two questions in one here. Willie Bowen asked, what's your opinion on the LA Rams on who they should draft? Personally, I think they should go either Johnny Newton, Byron Murphy, or Laiatu Latu in the first round at pick 19. But I would also love Spencer Rattler to go to LA and to back up Matt Stafford for a year. Stafford is, I want to say 36. So yeah, like it'd be really ideal for Rattler to go and back up a year behind Stafford. I like Rattler a lot. I really do. I mean, granted, he's my QB7, and we're in an extremely loaded class here, of course, but I like Rattler's potential, man, a lot. So LA would be a good destination for him, and this is going to kind of sound like very, like, not hypocritical, but very counter, like, it's not going to make sense when I say it, but you'll understand what I'm saying. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but Spencer going to LA to play for the Rams as a backup, while LA obviously is not a small market, obviously, the Rams fan base is not, like, you know, it's not one of the loudest in the NFL. It's not, that's the whole point of what I'm saying here. So if Rattler could go in and kind of just blend in and just, you know, be a guy just in a big city, I think it would be very beneficial for him. Obviously, the Rams have everything at their disposal to help him, whether it's Sean McVay, whether it's Matt Stafford, whether it's Cooper Kupp, whether it's Puka Nacua. No, I like what the Rams have a lot, and I think that Spencer would do, I think he would be a great backup in LA, especially in those first few years. Or at least a year or two. All right, let's see here. How surprised would you be if Caleb becomes a Jameis Winston-like player? I would be pretty surprised because Caleb is first off, Caleb is better than Jameis was as a prospect. There were a lot of concerns after Jameis' sophomore year with the sophomore slump back in 2014 entering 2015. And there were a lot of concerns with turnovers, which his turnovers upticked in a big way from his freshman year to his sophomore year. And obviously, Jameis is famous for the 30-30 season, so that obviously followed him into the NFL. Caleb doesn't play as reckless as Jameis does, so I would be pretty surprised. And Caleb's supporting cast in year one, I would say, is better than any supporting cast Jameis had at any point in his career, even despite having both Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in their prime. So, I mean, I think Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, and of course, DeAndre Swift, and an offensive line that's improving. And I would also factor in that I think the Bears are going to do everything they can to get Rome Odunze, so I think that supporting cast is going to be better for him. All right, let's see here. Who do I think the Commanders take? Jaden Daniels. I personally think Jaden Daniels. Somebody said, isn't Jimmy in LA right now? Technically, yes, you are correct. I'm not going to lie. I did completely forget about that, but I don't think having Jimmy G would prevent the Rams from drafting a developmental quarterback if they felt that good about him. So you're right, and that's on me for forgetting, but I don't think that would prevent the Rams from doing that. All right, let's see here. Let's keep going here. Lions drafting Penix, bad move or good move? They're not, but I would say bad move considering they just took Hendon Hooker last year in the third round with the top 70 pick, so I would say bad move there. Which receiver could I see the Lions taking in the first few rounds? I'm going to go first round here to answer this, and I like Troy Franklin to them. I would also like Ladd McConkey. I would genuinely hate them taking A.D. Mitchell or Brian Thomas Jr. as a Vikings fan because they're both really, really freaking good. So I would not like that for the Lions to take either of those guys. All right, let's take a look here. Also, technically, yes, they drafted Stetson Bennett, but that was like, that's way late, so I wouldn't really include that. I mean, technically, yes, but I don't think that's, again, Spencer Rattler is way better as a prospect than Stetson is. All right, let's see here. Do the Steelers go O-line? It's going to depend on how the board plays out for them. I would love for them to take Jackson Powers-Johnson, but I would not be surprised if they take corner. I would love them to be able to get Quinyon Mitchell. Unfortunately, I don't think Quinyon's going to drop to the Steelers at pick 20. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Steelers go Quinyon or Cooper DeJean or Jackson Powers-Johnson. Would love all three of those picks for them. Ralph says, some quarterback that Tepper likes falls to 11. He calls and wants to make a... Oh, this is very interesting. He calls and wants to make a deal to send Bryce Young to the Vikes. You're crazy. What do you do? I personally decline that. just because I think at that point, well, there's more to this than just falling to 11, because I think the Vikings pick would have already been dealt. I think that they would already go up and get Drake May at that point. But I like Bryce. I will make a video this offseason. We're, of course, in mid-April, but late May, early mid-June, I will make a video on Bryce and basically why his entire rookie season was so bad from start to finish, and why I think there's hope for him. So I like Bryce, but I don't think that would ever be a scenario, just because I don't think that would happen. But if, like, to answer your question, because I know you wanted an answer, you don't want the hypothetical BS. I think that the Vikings would take that. I think the Vikings would take that, and I think that they would be very interested in that trade. Thoughts on Bo Nix? I like Bo Nix a lot. I like Bo Nix a lot as a prospect. Obviously, when you make this comparison, there's a lot of, there's a lot of, like, eyeballs on it. There's a lot of, like, whoa, what was that comparison again? There's a lot of, second looks, but I think Bo Nix, from an accuracy standpoint, compares favorably to Drew Brees. Again, I don't think Bo Nix is going to have a Super Bowl winning career and throw for, or I mean, maybe he'll have a Super Bowl winning career, but basically throw for 70,000 yards, 500 touchdowns. I don't think Bo Nix is going to do that, but I think he compares a little bit to Brees in that sense. All right, let's see here. Why is McCarthy a polarizing prospect? Well, it's pretty simple. I mean, he's polarizing because there's some people that will give their left arm for JJ McCarthy, and there's some people that absolutely under no circumstance would take JJ in the first round. And when you have just both ends of the spectrum, where you have, he's a surefire top 3, top 5 pick, and then I wouldn't take him in the first round, people are going to be as loud as they possibly can about JJ. I personally would not take JJ in the top 10, but that's just me. Now, will he go in the top 10? Yes, but I would not take him in the top 10. All right, let's see here. Where did I say Drake May goes? I think he goes to Minnesota. I don't think there is a reason for New England to host Michael Penix on a top 30 visit unless there is serious interest on their part to draft Penix. To me, there's no reason for that. Why on earth would you do that unless you are seriously considering it? I mean, that's the whole thing. That's a waste of everybody's time, energy, and effort in what is already an extremely busy draft season. So why waste a night, why waste a day watching him work out at your facility if you are not extremely interested at this point? So I think Drake May is going to be a Viking at this point. All right, let's see here. Tristan says, on draft day, I can see the Falcons and Vikings doing a first-round swap. Plus, we give them a fourth. Also, we don't have a second or third. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Vikings are going to call the Falcons, to be completely honest. I think it's going to be like New England or bust for Minnesota. Or unless the Patriots take Marvin Harrison Jr., and then the Cardinals would potentially trade out, or they could just take Neighbors. But if Drake May would be at 5 for the Charger, when the Chargers select, I think then the Vikings would definitely trade up. I just don't think there's any scenario where the Vikings would trade with the Falcons. Volcano, he is a regular in the chat. How we doing? He says, what's up, man? Do you see the Chargers drafting Joe Alt? I would love that for them. I don't think they will, but I would love that for them. I think the Chargers' best bet is for them to trade back a couple times. Hopefully, like I said, Minnesota, for the Chargers, the best case scenario is they can get 11 and 23 for pick 5. I think that's the absolute best case for the Chargers. But I would love them to take Joe Alt. I would also, as a Justin Herbert fan, I would also like to see them draft Malik Neighbors. Here's a question that I really wanted to answer. I like this question a lot here. How would you feel about the Chiefs trading up for A.D. Mitchell? I'm going to look straight in the camera here. I would absolutely love it. A.D. Mitchell is my wide receiver 5. I am currently working on a top 125 big board. And I think I'm going to have a video release for the top 125 big board before the draft. I think I'm going to release it probably next week. We'll see. I don't know. The timeline is very, very cramped for me right now. I'm very stressed out with everything going on with the draft, but I would love it. 80 is my wide receiver 5 behind, of course, the big 3 and then Brian Thomas Jr. And A.D. Mitchell is a very good route runner. He's a very very good football player. And if you could pair him with obviously Pat Mahomes and then Travis Kelce, I'm going to kind of, not discuss the Rashee Rice situation because nobody knows how that's going to play out. But if you want to have a duo of A.D. Mitchell and Travis Kelce in year one, we're talking about two guys that could very easily get 1,000 yards especially with that quarterback. So I would love it to answer the question. I would absolutely love it. May visited New England too, no doubt. I mean, there was no doubt that Drake May was going to visit New England, but it's the whole point of Penix and then everything after that. And there was no doubt that Drake May was going to visit New England, and Jaden Daniels for that matter too. I don't know if Jaden Daniels visited New England, but I can't imagine he didn't. So, I would imagine he did. Let me go ahead and confirm this here. Let's take a look at some other questions here. Do you think there's a chance MHJ gets taken earlier than 4? The only scenario that would happen would be New England at 3, because I would just be absolutely floored if the Chargers traded up in front of Arizona, giving significant draft capital to go up to get a receiver. I mean, I just wouldn't see that, not in this draft, especially when the Patriots could just trade back, to Minnesota, who would offer way more than whatever the Chargers could offer. Because I don't think the Chargers would give up 5 and next year's 1 to go up to get Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think that personally. So the only team would be New England, and I would be kind of surprised. All right. Ravens Super Bowl window is bigger than the Bills. That's for sure. I would agree with that. Is the Ravens Super Bowl window closing or opening? I mean, I would personally say closing based on how last year was with Mike McDonald and everybody. But right now, entering 2024, I think the Ravens have a better chance to win the Super Bowl than the Bills. But I don't think either team will win the Super Bowl this year. All right, let's see here. Decky asks, what are the odds you think the Bills trade up for, for Brian Thomas Jr.? I don't know. I don't know, because that's going to be a pretty significant trade up. I think the best team on both sides would be, or for both sides would be, for the Bills to trade up to go to New Orleans at pick 14, because New Orleans needs help in a big way. New Orleans, to me, is not a good football team. They're not a bad football team, but they're not a great football team either. And New Orleans needs as much help as they possibly can. So if they could get a 1 next year, it wouldn't be like a 1, a 3, and a 1, but New Orleans would probably be the scenario where Buffalo trades up to get Brian Thomas Jr. Oh, the odds. I did not answer that at all. The odds, I would say probably less than 20%. There was a question here about Brandon Aiyuk here. I wanted to answer that. Where was that? I wanted to answer that question. I saw an Aiyuk question. It piqued my interest. Here it is. Is it possible that Aiyuk could be traded on draft night? If so, how much would they likely receive as compensation? To me, I think there is a very real chance that happens. Guys, we're entering a timeline where receivers from that class and the 21 class have to get paid, especially the 2020 class. So for Aiyuk to get traded, he unfollowed the 49ers on Instagram, and obviously we all know what that means. None of us are rookies. At least I assume not. If anyone is a rookie, then if you unfollow your team on Instagram, then it's basically like, all right, like, look, like, I'm signaling that I, don't necessarily want to play here. But the whole thing there is, I think it would be to a team like Jacksonville. Jacksonville at 17 makes a lot of sense. To me, it would be a first-round pick. It would not. I would be extremely, extremely surprised if it's a second-round pick. But then Jacksonville has a situation where they're paying Josh Allen. They're probably going to pay Trevor Lawrence soon. So it's I think it would be pick 17, and I can imagine it would be more than that. All right, let's see here. Colin asks, Giants have a couple speed guys in Wandale, Slayton, and Hyatt. Do you think there's a possibility they'd pass on Neighbors to get a bigger X receiver like Rome Odunze? And then even clarified with the Odunze spelling. Good question, Colin. Really, really good question. But I would say, here's the reason that I would say no, because I also, let's break this down here. I would say no. I think that Neighbors is a better prospect than Rome. I think Neighbors is closer to Marv than Odunze is to Neighbors. Now, whenever you say that, people will act like you're saying that Rome Odunze is equivalent to I even have to think of somebody here. They basically say that like whenever you put that out there, it's like Rome Odunze is similar to like a 34-year-old Adam Thielen. That's basically like what it's implied, that, you know, these guys are, that Marv and Neighbors are, you know, basically Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, and then we have like a 34-year-old Adam Thielen. It's that big of a gap. It's nowhere close to that big of a gap. But I think Neighbors, his acceleration is special. It is truly in a special tier, and Neighbors, you can put the ball in his hands in a bunch of different ways that you can't with Rome. And the Giants need a lot of help. They are one of the worst offenses in the entire NFL. Sorry, Giants fans, but they are. And if you can have a blue chip talent fall in your lap at pick 6 for a guy that will be the best receiver you've had since Odell Beckham Jr., take him. Don't overthink it either. All right, let's see here. Does it feel harder to talk about divisional teams such as the Lions and Packers? No, absolutely not. I've been making videos about the Lions for over a year and a half now about their plan and what they've been doing. I mean, you can go back to 2022 fall when they were 1-6. They just got smoked 29-0 against the Patriots, and it was basically like, look, like, we're bottoming out now. Like, this is the bottom, but everything that they're doing it's on the rise. So for the Lions, absolutely not. The Packers, I mean, I wouldn't say it's harder. It's just like, damn, I didn't think it was going to happen, you know, at the snap of a finger. You know, I didn't think, oh, hey, we're going to go from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love and just seamless transition. So that one's, it's not really hard. It's just like, damn, like, I didn't think it was going to happen that fast. All right. And even a commenter said that Neighbors is greater, or Neighbors is better than MHJ. I mean, I don't think that the Neighbors and MHJ conversation is that far off. All right, let's see here. Sorry, Young asked this a couple times. He said, thoughts on Nick Wright's mock draft? I got to be honest, I didn't see it. I don't know what he said. I might mock the mock on the podcast. We'll take a look here. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look at Nick Wright's mock draft. I didn't see it. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna save it. I don't want to spoil it, or I don't want to spoil it because I'm going to look at it myself whenever I do a mock the mock. Somebody asks here, why not get the signed Jefferson jersey framed? I'm getting it framed. It's been hanging up here for a little while. It's happening. I'm gonna get a little shadow box. It's gonna be in a thing, and then I'm getting these pictures over here framed. I have the frames. I actually just bought them last week, so they're getting framed. And then the YouTube plaque will be somewhere over here. And yeah, we got everything coming along. We'll have a good studio lighting. I have another light over here, and everything's coming along. All right. Where do you think Olu will go? I saw this question asked earlier, and I meant to get to this. Let's see here. I would love for him to go to the Jets. That is my dream, for Olu to go to the Jets. Thanks for your thoughts on the Giants pick. Love the channel. Absolutely, of course. Would I get a signed Hawkinson jersey? Probably not. I mean, right now I'm just sticking with JJ. We're just sticking right here. That's about it. What are Vikings' plans to preserve 23? Will they not trade far up, or will they give up players? I mean, anything right now that, like, oh, we're trying to preserve this, we're trying to do that. It's all, guys, it's all smoke screens. Anybody that's sitting here like, oh, the Vikings don't want to give up 23, whatever. Who knows? Like, who knows? Is Kwesi coming out saying that? Is KOC coming out saying that? Anybody that's sitting here claiming they know, oh, I know for sure what's going to happen. No, you don't. The only thing anybody knows is Caleb's going 1. That's it. Right now, if I had to guess, I think it would be 11, 23, and 1 next year to move up. All right, let's see here. Do you think the Steelers could be series contenders if they trade for Aiyuk? Personally, no. I don't hate the Steelers. I hate the way that they go about building their franchise. I hate the fact that TJ Watt has been a premier player since his rookie year, and I hate the fact that he's never won a playoff game, and I hate the fact that, oh, well, Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season, but does it really matter? I mean, they haven't won a playoff game since 2016. They have not won a playoff game going on 8 years, and I don't think the Steelers are close to a super. I don't think they're any closer. I mean, I guess technically they are a little closer to a Super Bowl with Russ than they would be with Kenny Pickett, but I don't look at Russ and think, man, they're going from not winning a playoff game in almost a decade to winning a Super Bowl, and they're going to beat the Chiefs on the way there. No. So I hate that I hate the route the Steelers have chose. All right, if you had to expect one big surprise in the draft, what do you think it will be? One big surprise, this is a good question. By the way, I don't know if you guys know this. I don't know if if you guys, and anybody, or if I've, I don't know how well I've made it public, but I will be live during night 1 of the draft. So we will be live all throughout round 1. And yeah, we're going to be here all night. We're going to be watching the draft live, covering it live. I can't wait, of course. But to answer this question, I think that the surprise could be a team, whether it's the Bills, whether it's the Lions, whether it's the Chiefs. Baltimore wouldn't trade up, but any of those couple teams trading way up in the draft to get Brian Thomas Jr. or trading up to get A.D. Mitchell into the teens. I think that would be the biggest surprise. Because it really wouldn't surprise me at all if the Chiefs said, especially with the Rashee Rice situation, if they were like, look, let's just give up a 1 next year. I mean, say it here. Let's give up a 1 next year because we know this pick is going to be at least probably 27 or 28. So we can give up 32, and then we can give up probably at least 26, 27 next year to go up to 12, to go up to 13, to go get Brian Thomas Jr., to go get Patrick Mahomes, a receiver for the next at least 5 years on a discount. So, wouldn't surprise me at all. All right, let's see here. I saw a couple personal questions that I wanted to answer. Where was it here? Where was it? Never been in your live streams before. Big fan, but you may have already discussed. Vikings fan. I'm curious. What do you think they'll do? Yeah, we have answered. But I think they're going to trade up. I don't think there's any reason for the Patriots to have Michael Penix in for a visit if they're not seriously considering him. I mean, guys, there's so much time, effort, and money. I mean, not that money's an issue for $1 billion organization, but there's just a lot of time and effort and energy spent to bring in a guy for a visit to not even consider him. Just to throw a smokescreen when they have absolutely no reason to throw a smokescreen. Like the Patriots could say, hey, Jaden Daniels is our QB2, Drake May is our QB3. We're going to take one of them, whoever falls in our lap. And it wouldn't matter at all because they control that. So I think the Vikings will trade up. Let's see. Can Kyle Hamilton be the best safety in the league next year? Yes. Let's see here. Are you genuinely going to miss Kirk? That was the question that I wanted to answer. Yes, I am. There's yes and no. To be honest with you, yes and no. There's going to be parts where, Kirk, like the 49ers game this year on Monday night, right before Kirk tore his Achilles, was one of the most fun games just ever. Kirk was dealing. No JJ. Addison was on. The Addison play where he ripped the ball out of the DB's hands was electric. Hawkinson was on, and Kirk played at an MVP level that night. I'm not going to miss the week to week, oh man, Kirk stinks, Kirk this, Kirk that. I'm not going to miss that. I genuinely am not going to miss that. That was exhausting over the past couple years. And there were times as a Vikings fan where it was like you were hoping that Kirk Cousins would play well just so you didn't have to hear shit. And that was not fun. And that was not fun, especially when Kirk is not at the level of a Mahomes or Allen or anybody else up there. Stroud, Burrow, Lamar. I hopefully didn't forget any of the elite quarterbacks, but you get the point. And that was not fun over the past couple years where Kirk has a bad game, Kirk throws an ugly interception. Great, here we go. So that part I'm definitely not going to miss. But the fun parts, I mean, the Kirko chains and everything else, yes. All right, let's see here. Tristan says, Cardinals and Eagles resolved their tampering a few hours before the draft last year. I think that happens with us. Could be why we haven't traded to 3 yet. Whatever Falcons gives us goes to Pats. That would be interesting. I have not thought about that. I got to be honest. I don't remember the exact tampering. I know it was something with Jonathan Gannon. I don't know how much that would be. Let me think about this. I kind of want to break this down here. The thing was Jonathan Gannon was preparing for a Super Bowl. Jonathan Gannon was preparing to stop the best quarterback since Tom Brady, legacy-wise, in Patrick Mahomes. Where Kirk was, at least from what my understanding is, Kirk was already done for the year. So I don't think there would be that much to like, oh, hey, Kirk, you're laying on your couch with your ankle up. Hey, listen to what we have to say. I just can't imagine that there would be that much impact from the league. Now, if it benefits my team, good, awesome. But I can't imagine that there would be that much of a benefit here. All right, let's keep it going here. All right. In AFC, it's so cute seeing him swear May as a Viking. I don't think I've ever like said in stone that Drake May is a Viking. I just think that's what's going to happen. But all right, let's see here. Sorry for giving my opinion, I guess. No, but I mean that's what I think's going to happen. All right. Let's see. I would respect the Patriots drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. I would too, because it would genuinely help out their football team, and it would be very good for them as a franchise. Nice response. Got to head out. Have a good rest of your stream. Appreciate you coming through. If the Vikings, where was it here? If the Vikings don't trade up and get May, do they get JJ? I would prefer Bo Nix at 11 than I would trading up for JJ. Thoughts on the NFC North is going to end up next year? I would probably say Detroit 1, Green Bay 2, Chicago 3, Minnesota 4 would probably be my guess. Let's see here. Do you think we can fairly judge Bryce Young with the new assets the Panthers have added this offseason? I mean, not right now with no games being played, but after this year, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, no, I love what the Panthers did this year. Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis, Deontay Johnson. They still have 2 top 40 picks. I actually did a mock draft simulation for the Panthers recently. Definitely recommend going to check that out. It's on the podcast. Football Analysis, Apple, Spotify. Definitely recommend going to check that out. And I don't think the Panthers are as doomed as some people want to make them out to be. So I like Bryce Young. Do you think Bryce Young has enough help now to fairly judge him? I do. I would prefer them to add a better running back, but I like what the Panthers have, and I like what they did this year. Now, is the supporting cast top 2 or 3 in the league? Absolutely not. But it's competent, and that was the big thing. Good question here from Michael. When do the Lions have to address their quarterback situation? Man. That I would probably say next year, because the whole contract extension's coming, the whole everything's coming, and then you have to give him, I mean, you're not going to pay Jared Goff less than $45 a year. So now we're talking 50 plus for Jared Goff. That's a lot for him, especially when you have Aiden Hutchinson's contract coming up, Amon-Ra's contract coming up, Penei Sewell's contract's coming up. So the Lions this year, I would say this year. All right. There was a question that I wanted to address here. It was about the Colts. Where was it? I'm missing it. Where I'm being a dummy. Hold on here. Here it is. Last stream you said you think the Colts are a Super Bowl contender. Why? Let me clarify. I said I think they could be a sneaky contender. I don't think that they are right now absolutely like they are better than the Texans. I didn't say that part. I said it wouldn't surprise me if they were. You know, if they draft Brock Bowers, if they draft, I mean, I don't think they would draft Brian Thomas Jr., but if they get AR another weapon, mainly Brock Bowers is who I was referring to. And if you had an offense with Bernard Ryman, Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, of course, AR, Josh Downs, and then Brock Bowers, I think that with a healthy AR that team could shock a lot of people, and it wouldn't surprise me if they had 10 or 11 wins. And then when you have Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor in January playing against you, that's been my whole thing from AR since day one, and why I love that selection for the Colts, because they have a big bruising offensive line, and then they have 2 guys that can absolutely pound the rock and continue to pound the rock, and that would be my reason for the Colts being a sneaky contender. Not to say they are right now, but they are a sneaky contender. Now, do I think Indy would beat Kansas City in Arrowhead in the AFC Championship game? No. But I wouldn't be surprised if they won a playoff game or 2. Where do I think Joe Alt lands? Tennessee. I've thought that the whole time. I like Joe Alt a lot, and that's been, I kind of really hope that happens, because mentally I've had that paired for months now, like since mid-January. Joe Alt, Titan, mock draft, if he's there, boom, check it off, see it, next pick. Don't even think about it. It doesn't matter if Malik Neighbors there, Roma Dunze's there, just Joe Alt, check, and move on. So hopefully Tennessee. And ultimately I think that's where he will land. All right, let's see. Yeah, they brought an O-line, but the rest of the offense is still not good, and they lost Burns, and Horn is all team IR. Unfortunately, JC has not been able to stay healthy. He's missed more games in his 3 years than he's been played. But look, I mean, I was referring to the Panthers offense. I didn't really discuss, the defense and everything because they also lost some pieces this year. They lost Jeremy Chin. They lost Frankie Louvu. Of course, Burns, like you mentioned. But with the Panthers right now, with where they are in the timeline, it is all about building around Bryce, and it is all about making sure he absolutely does not fall on his face in year 2 the way he did in year 1. All right. Make and sit behind Jacoby for a year. He's young and raw, and it won't hurt to sit him. Gives the Pats a full year to improve the offense. You need to get your quarterback. Penix is not a sure thing later. I mean, is May a sure thing? I mean, here's your quote. He's young and raw, and it won't hurt to sit him. So, I mean, I don't think either are a sure thing. No quarterback is a sure thing, by the way. No quarterback is a sure thing. Trevor Lawrence, not a sure thing. Nobody is a sure thing. There's obviously prospects that you like. There's obviously prospects I like. There's obviously prospects franchises like. But, I mean, if I were the Patriots, like I said, 3 wins, and we can really build a roster, and we can really give our quarterback next year a chance. Panthers overpaid a bit in free agency, but they get blockers for Bryce. Honestly, I don't think they overpaid. I mean, I know the 5 for 100 is obviously a lot, and you can clip that out and say that, this idiot said they didn't overpay for, a guard $100 million, but there's going to be nobody on that roster that they can't pay because of those contracts. So everybody always freaks out about Calvin Ridley for 4 years for 92 is another perfect example. They gave him 23 a year, but there's nobody on the Titans roster that they're not going to be able to pay because of the contracts. And the same thing applies to both Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt. So did they overpay in theory for what they're going to get out of those guys? Yes, but I don't think it really matters in that sense. All right, let's see here. Somebody asked about quarterbacks next year. To be honest, I don't know many prospects next year at all. Like I know guys from watching tape. Or from watching, of course, college football, and of course, just the names that you hear and everything. But I have not looked into the class or the quarterback class. I know Quinn Ewers is going to be one. Grayson McCall from Coastal Carolina. There's a bunch of other guys that I know, or that they're going to come to me as soon as I end the stream, and I'm going to say, damn, why didn't I say that name? But I want to say Garrett Green from West Virginia is another prospect. And again, there's Shador Sanders, of course, from Colorado. But I have not really looked into the 2025 class to answer that one. These streams are very fun. Can you do them more? We'll be doing them on draft night. Draft night round 1. We will absolutely be here. Round 1. All right. Let's see here. Do you buy that Kwesi is not willing to give up the farm for a quarterback? He said he will trade up at a fair price. I would probably say I don't think Kwesi's going to give up the farm because, like, if New England, like, let's just run through both here, right? If New England is entertaining a trade back, if they are, then Drake May or Jaden Daniels, whichever's available, is not their guy. And that's what I think needs to be remembered. If they're entertaining a trade back, he's not their guy. Because if either of those guys were, they wouldn't say, hey, Minnesota, do you want to potentially come up here? So to answer this, I don't think Minnesota would give up the farm because you're not going to force a quarterback at pick 3 if they are not 100% your guy when you have trade offers on the table. So I would agree with that I don't think that Minnesota's going to give up. I don't think Minnesota's going to get absolutely fleeced the way that some people do, to answer that question. Is Brock Bowers going to the Bengals? Your guess is as good as mine. I would like that fit a lot. If I had to mock right now, I think he'd go to Indy, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. It would not surprise me at all if Brock Bowers went to, if he went to Cincinnati. But guys, that is about 50 minutes of answering questions. You got any questions? DM me on Twitter. This will be out tomorrow. Subscribe to the podcast, Apple, Spotify, Football Analysis. There's a lot more content on Apple and Spotify. So if you like content like where I'm talking like this, like I said, subscribe, Apple, Spotify, Football Analysis. Please drop a like if you are still here. It very, very much helps the almighty YouTube algorithm. Appreciate everyone that came out. Appreciate everyone that dropped super chats. Tristan, Joseph, appreciate it all, guys. Like I said, that's going to wrap up right now stream. And yeah, subscribe, Apple, Spotify, and I will catch you next time. Love you guys.